Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys not so much the latest 7 Deadly Sins Season 2 episode reviews, more like I'm 3 months behind. No, seriously, guys, I am very, very sorry about this, but I just found out, thank you, King of Lightning, I just found out that I am so far behind, and I honestly forgot to be checking up with 7 Deadly Sins and when the episodes would be released. I thought we were on like kind of a half break for a couple months until the fall. Found out, of course, because, that's just me, is that episodes 15 all the way through to 21 are already out. So yeah, and in 3 days time, my favorite chapter, one of the best fight, one of at the very least, but in my opinion, one of the things that made me love 7 Deadly Sins is going down in 3 days. And that is Escanor versus Esta Rosa. So I don't feel like this is spoiler to say that, because the time of this video release, it's well past due date. So that being said, guys, what we're going to do here is that I just finished watching episodes 15 and 16, and then I'm going to go and watch 17 and 18. I think you guys already know what I'm doing here. I am going to be reviewing double episodes for each video each day up until we get to the episode. Now, of course, episode 22, which is the main reason that I'm doing this, because I also wanted to do this series. I forgot about it. I'm sorry, guys. There's just been a lot of shit going on with work and buying a house and things like that. I apologize, but at the end of the day, this is just something that I really I had to focus on, and now I do want to still review 7 Deadly Sins near the end of the season. So basically what we're going to do here is, as you can already figure out, is that I'm going to be reviewing these as quick as I can, and then of course episode 22 will probably be a day 2, maybe even 3 days late. I'm hoping to have it the day later or the second day. It could be a little later than that, guys. I apologize for that, but I hope you guys understand. I don't expect these videos to get much views, because this is way in the past. Nobody cares about the reviews of episodes that were released 2 months ago. I understand that, but I don't want to have an incomplete playlist. That's the reason I'm doing this, is because I don't want to leave this incomplete. I want to have a full playlist of season 2 of 7 Deadly Sins. That being said, guys, wasted enough of your time with this intro. Let's just get underway. So I'm going to be doing my best to go over the big points, but at this point I've realized that most people who are watching this series read the manga. I know there's a few anime only viewers, but those are few and far in between. So any spoilers, I will say I apologize in advance for you anime only viewers. This may or may not be the review for you. So that being said, we're going to skip over the Deanne shit. Episode 15 was heavy Deanne about dancing. We're going to skip over most of that. I can sum that all up right now for you so we can get that part out of the way. She still lost her memories, and for that logic, episode 16. She lost her memories, she doesn't know who anybody is, and that's a big chunk of these 2 episodes. She meets up with people, they know who she is, she doesn't know who she is, blah blah blah. She's learning the art of dancing from the original Giant King Dolar sacred dance, which is what Matrona seems to somehow know. It must have been passed down through the clan, and Matrona is now trying to teach Deanne this form of dance about listening to the earth, blah blah blah. That basically sums up her character in the last 2 episodes. So okay, now the big things was the fight with Dreyfus and Denzel. Awesome. We get introduced to the leader of the Paladins of Azure Sky, or Palladius. I don't know really how to say that word, so I always say Paladins of Azure Sky. They're holy knights with a specific order, and they are under the command of the younger brother of the king, Lord Denzel, whose power is quite vast, because he was going toe-to-toe with Dreyfus, with Fraudrin, of course, in his body, sort of idea here, and they were going toe-to-toe for a while. Of course, Grey Road, what happened was, of course, they were captured. We knew that from the previous episode, and then taken to this remote location where he could be kind of interrogated, sort of mentality, and see just the power. I don't really know what Denzel was going for here, but either way, they end up fighting. Of course, Grey Road shows up, destroys the party, and it's realized that even with Death Pierce and Denzel fighting Fraudrin in Dreyfus's body and Grey Road, they would not succeed in an all-out, battle. So, I mean, the fight scenes were really cool. Love the animation and stuff, and I want to see more of Denzel because I love Denzel. The moment I saw him in the manga series, I really enjoyed Denzel's character, and I thought, this guy's gonna be a badass. My disappointment should be felt across the globe. Through this video, look into my eyes, guys. Look closely. And girls, look into these baby blue eyes. I'm disappointed. But, as I said, spoilers, sorta, kinda, not really. It's there. I'm disappointed with how Denzel's character was handled. Now, the rest of the episodes, I mean, so they figure out that there's this festival going on, and we cut over to the Ten Commandments, two of them. One of them being an unknown, I believe, at this point. And as I said, I'll try my best to keep spoilers free. The red-haired Ten Commandment who acts like a child and is encased in this green tentacle thing. And then we have, it's no spoiler here, the Giant King Dolar, apparently. Or at least shares the same name. Blue-skinned, badass with 4 arms, and he is the original Giant King. And I mean, it's pretty much surmised because they say that the dance was created by him, then they say that only a giant with superior power could create this giant maze for this fighting festival, which everyone is attending. Everyone is attending. Now, as you can tell, guys, already I'm kind of crossing over episodes a little bit here, but I'm just trying to hit the main points. These reviews are not going to be the best because, of course, they are double packed, and it's trying to get to them as quick as I can while still busily, figuring out the logistics of this house buying thing. So, I do apologize, guys. They jump between this stuff, but they've created a maze at this fighting festival, which we know that Meliodas and his gang are attending. Matrona is attending with Deanne and stuff, and some other characters that we have not been introduced to before. Now, they don't really matter that much. I'm going to say that. Or it's not that they don't matter, it's that we are not going to know too much about them for a long time. And really, we're not going to know much about them per se. Those of you who know what I'm talking about will know. For non-manga readers, I haven't really spoiled anything there, so you're good to go. We have this festival, and everyone's kind of entering the maze. Now, when everybody enters the maze, we realize, okay, it acts kind of like, what's the word? There are movies I've seen with a labyrinth style like this, and I just can't think of it. It's not Pan's Labyrinth or anything like that I'm thinking of, but there are other things, video games and the like, Harry Potter maybe, something like that, that has mazes that do all this stuff, like the Triwizard Tournament maze a little bit, maybe, a little reminiscent of that. Hard to say. Everyone's entered the maze. Deanne and Matrona eventually kind of get separated. Hawk and Elizabeth find Deanne. Of course, she doesn't trust them, doesn't know who they are, and eventually that's all taken care of. As I said, this is stuff that is no point in really going over. Now, here is where we get the cool parts. The really interesting parts. The parts I like. Because the soundtrack for Seven Deadly Sins is one of the things that makes the anime great. The manga is great. And at a lot of times, as I explained in a few of my other reviews, I actually prefer reading the chapter about said thing than watching the anime. I couldn't figure out why. But now I realize that some of the time the anime does it better because the anime has the soundtrack. And when they play those themes... Alright, so as I said, we go through with Hawk, Elizabeth, Deanne, blah blah blah, no big deal. We're introduced to a couple new characters in the maze. Everyone's fighting festival, and you're gonna have your one wish granted, blah blah blah. We go through, and Elizabeth realizes that she meets up with Gil Thunder and Hauser and things like that, but then on the other side of the wall she realizes Meliodas is there. And then Meliodas kind of says the same thing, and that beautiful soundtrack plays when She first unlocked the Goddess Amber, Goddess Eye, whatever, inside herself to heal everyone that had been attacked by Demon Hendrickson. That soundtrack right there, I don't know the name of the melody. Beautiful, beautiful score. And they use this score during this scene, and it's just, it makes it, that scene is not necessarily that great in the manga. It's like, oh yeah, of course, because they're in love. But this scene with the anime made it so much better. And it's great because, as I've explained in my previous reviews, a lot of the time some of the anime scenes have disappointed me when I thought they could do it better. Like, I was expecting so much more from the anime version. This time I'm not disappointed. This time I'm actually saying this is better than the chapter it was in, because this was beautiful, beautifully done. And just the voice acting, I don't speak Japanese, guys, but I like the voice acting for the most part. And I really enjoy this. I can't wait to hear the English dub version of this, because I also really enjoy the English dub cast for Seven Deadly Sins. So this whole scene was really, really beautiful. And then, of course, right after that, and they're like, okay, we'll walk away, we'll find each other, at least she's safe. Run into Bon. Bon's back, baby. Bon is there, meeting up with Meliodas for the first time. The first fucking time. Once again, right at this point, right when Meliodas and Elizabeth kind of, not communicate through the wall, but you know what I mean? From then on, this episode is just flawless. Every scene, every note of sound, every voice acting, everything is perfect. It's like 4 minutes of scene before the end of the episode 16. But it's so wonderful, guys. It's so wonderful, because not only did we get that beautiful music, then we get the reaction scene between Bon and by the way, Arthur is there too. Arthur was the one trapped with Meliodas inside the maze, but he doesn't play a significant role, so it's fine. He meets up with Bon and says, I'll come back to the Sins or whatever. And this is when Meliodas kind of, Bon kind of lays it all down, saying, I was with Escanor, I was supposed to deliver, ale and stuff like that, and says, but I also found Elaine. And Meliodas is kind of like shocked by this. Of course, you would be. And Bon is already on the defensive. He's always like, what, do you got a problem? Like, what's the deal? And Meliodas, no, man, it's great. It's great you got your woman back. That's it. That's beautiful, guys. That's what a friend does. I've always, in my manga chapter reviews, I've always stated that Bon and Meliodas' relationship is probably the best example of great friendship. And these guys are the best friends in the world. This shows friendship to a whole nother level than most manga series ever get to. There are partners in crime. There are lovers. There are rivals that do better, but true best friends, Seven Deadly Sins has done it best from any manga series I have ever read. And I have read, I could probably say 100. Short, long, doesn't matter. I probably confidently say that I've read 100 manga series in my time, and at least 100, I should say. And that's the best one. It is the best version of that. Some people might complain about that, and if I was more popular and had more views on these videos, I'm sure there'd be a lot of examples in the comment section down below. Oh, you need to watch this because this is the greatest example of friendship. And no, like, sorry guys, I've read a lot of shit, and I'm telling you right now, you could be right. If I haven't read what you're toting, you could be right. And of course, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm just saying that this actually makes me feel something. It's great. And the fact that even though they know what transpired, they still, before this went down, they still did their Bon Captain, and did their classic patty cake on steroids, beat the shit out of each other. Bon recognizes that he's got his power back from 10 years ago. He's much, much stronger than he was. They do their arm wrestling, and Bon just takes him down. Even though Meliodas has his full power back, he went for the high-speed win. Now, after they have realized all this stuff, and then we're cutting back over, once they realize all these things, Bon says, it's not fine. I tried to fucking kill you. What don't you understand? Like, his heart's in turmoil. We already saw this with the Zavago episode and his dad and stuff like that. Bon is regardless of his outside appearance and his actions, he's torn up about this. He realizes what he did is betrayal. It's the worst thing you can do to a friend. And Meliodas is like, no, it's fine. Let's continue. We're best friends, right? And Bond can't accept that, but then Meliodas is just like, no, you know, you got your woman back. I got Elizabeth, and I'm alive, so what's the big deal? And Bond's just like, Captain, I'm sorry. Now let's break this fucking wall down. So that's literally what they do. They decide, okay, Elaine is protected right now by Jericho and King, and Bond, of course, can trust them to take care of Elaine while they're in the maze. But right now, Elizabeth is on the other side of this wall, and Meliodas and Bond are like, all right, so you think you can regenerate wall? Well, you haven't taken on us two before, have you? And so Bond and Meliodas just power up. The best another one of the great soundtracks, one of the great scores of Seven Deadly Sins soundtrack plays, and Meliodas and them, they're charging up like they're goddamn Super Saiyans, and boom, 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 boom. There goes that damn wall. And everyone's just like, wait a minute. These two can actually destroy the wall faster than the wall can regenerate. And they get through this entire layer of rock wall to get to Elizabeth. And that's where the episode ends, guys. So that's the last two episodes, 15 and 16. As I said, there's, of course, important things I may or may not have missed, like the reveal after, of course, Denzel and Death Pierce realize in episode 15 that they cannot defeat Grey Road and Dreyfus, so they let them go. Dreyfus reveals that Gother was the original, he is just a substitute. Now, in the manga, there was a lot of confusion for a long time, and I thought that he wasn't a true Ten Commandment. He is a Ten Commandment, but he does not have the same level of strength necessarily than some of the other Ten Commandments, but they vary in strength as well. That's like a warlord system in One Piece. It's all over the map on strength and powers and abilities. But he admits that his commandment was only, he's just a substitute for the commandment, because 3,000 years ago, along with Meliodas, this one somehow just went away as well. So, okay, Gother, the doll Gother apparently is the original 10th commandment that used to have Fraudron's commandment of selflessness. Okay, alright. Don't worry, guys, it's not really going to go anywhere for a while. And for you manga only, or I should say for your anime only viewers, don't worry about that key piece of information. It won't matter now. It's going to be a big thing later on, but right now it's just okay, now we know. That's why Dreyfus and the whole thing in season 1, when Gother was in Dreyfus's mind, who are you, and all this stuff. Gother doesn't know who he is. He thinks he's Gother of the Seven Deadly Sins, when in actuality he is Gother, the selflessness of the Ten Commandments. Alright, so that's the big reveal in episode 15, but anyways, it to me, it's not a huge reveal, because a lot of people suspected it. I suspected it for a while. It was kind of obvious back then. It's obvious now, and it's not going to go anywhere for a little while yet. So when we get to that, then we can talk about the development of Gother's character. Everything else, guys, I believe I've covered. Episode 15, as I said, was okay. Too heavy Deanne for me. And except for Denzel and Dreyfus fighting, that was really cool. Well animated. Dreyfus looks like a boss. He looks like a goddamn Super Saiyan 2 going up in there. And the next episode, of course, the first half wasn't that great with the maze, with Deanne and Matrona and all that stuff. Like, okay, we get it. And the reveal of characters that don't really mean much to the story, even as of yet, necessarily, not really. But then the later half, the last like 6-7 minutes of the episode 16 was well worth it, well worth the payoff. Just everything was so great. So anyways, guys, I've rambled on long enough about episode 15 and 16 of Nanatsu no Taizai Imashin no Fukatsu, or the second season revival of the Ten Commandments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment as always. I always appreciate it, and hopefully this gets a few views and you guys understand why this is so late, and I will be getting the next video to you guys sometime tomorrow, I hope, because I really want to be current for episode 22, which is going to be just, the hype is real, guys. The hype is real. So that being said, guys, this has been Griever signing off. See you next time.